why agents fail this business. It's not all the fault of the agencies or the products themselves. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes you're just not a good fit as an insurance agent. And this may sound a little jerkish. I don't mean it to be, but you also have to consider the fact that maybe you're not a good fit. Not everybody is in this business. There's a big time agency MLM that, he'll say things like, and you know who I'm talking about if you think about this, anybody can sell this product. This product is easy to sell. That's a lie. It's a lie. They say that because they sell leads at a huge markup and make money anyway. They don't lose like you could. And so my point is, this is a tough business. You don't want to come into it thinking that everybody's successful. That isn't true. You don't want to come in to think that anybody can do it. Hell, it ain't. I wish it was. Well, actually, I don't. I'm glad it's not, because if everybody could do it, then there wouldn't be any money in it. All Americans would have insurance, and then carriers wouldn't pay as much commission, and then there wouldn't be any lucrative opportunity in it. So don't believe the hype that anybody and everybody can and should do this and it's easy. It's not. There are plenty of agents that, even with everything right, they don't win in this business. Okay. I mean, we don't have a 100% success rate. We're not perfect for sure, but sometimes there's just a mismatch of the business entirely, even if everything's right. And so what are some of the reasons here? I kind of hinted at some of them, and you won't really know, I think, until you try to do it and you give it your all. But a lot of the times the people who this business isn't a good fit for them, they just don't have the stuff to survive. And you really don't know what you're made of until you're faced with adversity is really what it comes down to. And it's not that you couldn't be successful in another business. I mean, there are people who go on to other business models and do just fine. But the sooner you can find out this business is a good fit for you or not, the better, in my opinion. And the number one way that we determine it is by making a sale in your first week. If you're not making a sale in your first week after you've been well trained, you're well prepared, you've practiced, you studied, done everything you're supposed to, even if you've done everything right, if you're not making a sale in that first 5 days in the field or on the phone, this business is just not for you, and you should look for an exit and do something else. It could be an agency issue, but assuming that's all right, again, sometimes it just isn't a good fit. But here's some other aspects here you may need to consider that you may not be a good fit for this business. Number one, you can't handle rejection. Get used to being rejected. The best agents get rejected more than you. When I was running 40 appointments, to book those 40 appointments, I'd have to hear probably 20 to 25 no's in booking the appointment because I bought 80 leads. So a bunch of people who would answer would tell me no. The ones that booked 40 appointments with me, 10 of them may not show up. So I got rejected by them disrespecting me and not being there. Then at the door, I sit down with 30 of them. Inside of half of them, inside of, 10 minutes, I realized that they just wanted a free Walmart gift card, or they were just poking around, not really interested, or they thought Uncle Sugar was going to give them more free stuff. And I'm wasting my time getting rejected that way. And then the other 15, some of them would buy, maybe about 10 of them to 15, depending on the week and kind of how I was doing. But some of them would take me all the way down the line and then reject me there at the close and just say that they need to think about it, right? So my point is, I might end up with 10 sales and make, at this point, $6,000 to $9,000 in premium, which is a heck of a good week. But I had to get rejected 30 plus times based off of the preset appointments, and then another 25 times when I'm booking. So I heard way more no's than the ultimate yeses, which were the completed sales. So point being, you get rejected a lot, even as a top producer. So if you feel bad about any kind of rejection, even at a moderate low level, don't do this business because it doesn't go away. It's just there. It's not a bug of the system. It's a feature of the system. And the sooner you get to accepting the fact that people are just going to turn you down, the better. Number two, if you've got shiny object syndrome, this business isn't for you. This is kind of a catch-22 of selling final expense and specifics. It's boring. You're just picking the phone up hundreds of times a day to sell over the phone, or you're just door knocking people saying the same script over and over again, routinely for the rest of your life. There's very little variation. Sure, I mean, there's crazy people out there in interesting circumstances, but it becomes kind of routine, dull. It's not boring, or it's not that it's boring. It's just routine. And sometimes routines get boring. And so if you are always that kind of person that needs stimulation, needs something new, needs, to be fired up and blah, 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 yeah, you probably will be taken by the next shiny object that the new MLM shows you and gets you off track of the fundamentals of sticking to what works. So if you're that kind of person, not going to be a good fit for this business because it is rote after you get up and running and get into the swing of things. If you're not coachable, don't do this business. Again, this business is simple, but it's not easy. You need to be coached. You need to be well developed. You need to be able to take constructive criticism. If you can't do that, you're going to be inside your own head, in your own bubble, and you're never going to advance to the level that you could be. We need to be in a position to be critiqued. It is a good thing if it's done constructively, like what we do. And it allows you to advance faster and develop yourself. And you got to be humble too at the same time and accept criticism and then take it and then actually apply it. If you're not going to do that, again, like with any sport or performance-based activity, likely not going to do very well. If you don't have grit or what I would call grind ethic, insurance sales isn't going to do well for you. You're going to have to, this is a get rich slow business. I've heard that said. It's a marathon business, not a sprint business. I can personally attest to that. I've done this for 12 years, and the last 3 or 4 have been the most fruitful and profitable for me. And I'm glad I laid the groundwork for the first 8 years selling and then building my agency, and doing okay, not bad, but not to the extent that I'm doing now. And I say all this not to brag, but I had to grind it out there for a long time. I had to put in 5 days, 6 days in the field, 12 to 15 hour, multiple days every week for years on end. Not be with family at times that I would really prefer to be, in order to build something substantial. There's a sacrifice. You got to pay a price, as the old motivational tapes say. It's really true. And you got to have that grind ethic to make it happen and be patient with it and the grit necessary. And last on here, poor inability to handle the ups and downs. Again, the capability, as mentioned earlier, for long-term success isn't your skill set. The skill set to sell is important, but it's very teachable. It's very learnable. But the reality is, even with great skill sets of sales and selling, you're still going to run into adversity. You're still going to be frustrated. You're still going to have bad weeks. You're still going to experience this thing every single straight commission agent experiences on the face of the planet. And the way that you handle, especially the rough parts of your career, are the defining opportunities to extend and survive and have an actual career versus another pit stop in a failed business or career. There are a lot of agents that have the stuff from a skill set standpoint to do well, but they don't handle the downs well because they're all up in their head, or they didn't save money. They spend it too much. They didn't prepare for the winters of the business, or they just get sidetracked by the shiny object syndrome. And we thank them for that in a sense. Of course, I don't want you to experience this, but there's a reason why we have downs. And again, to mention earlier, it's to flush out the weak hands. It's Darwinian evolution. It's survival of the fittest. If you are not fit enough to handle hard times and adversity and to grow and build yourself from that and be thankful for it, you're going to fail. You're going to lose. And if that didn't happen, then there wouldn't be the potential for six-figure incomes and building tremendous lifestyle-oriented businesses that the insurance business provides. So when you're going through it, which you will, be thankful while you're frustrated, and know that it's a matter of time before you get out of it and you're back on track and writing business. If you can't handle that stuff, and when you're having hot streaks and you like to spend your money on crap you don't need, if you don't know how to manage your money and just put it in the bank and leave it alone, to prepare for winter, like the squirrels collecting nuts do, then you're going to have a hard time. So you got to think long-term, and your ability to maintain that, as well as your mental sanity.